Welcome to your 2026 London Aire walkthrough in a 4595 floor plan on a Freightliner chassis. So if you come on up front here, we'll start right here at the driver's side cockpit. So we're at the driver's seat now, and on our left-hand side, we have our valid air ride. As soon as you turn the ignition key on, you'll see the screen lights up, and it gives you the option of high ride or low ride. There's an on-off switch here, and you can go into the travel mode or the home screen here. If you go to the home screen, you've got selections here for more, travel, and leveling. So if we click on the more, you can see here we've got options for touch, color, backlighting, help, faults, and system. So as you press any one of those, you're going to go into that particular icon and you can make an adjustment. Go back to your home screen or travel to toggle between those. The panel in front of that is for your HWH jacks and leveling. The jacks and leveling pad is currently turned on, or it has power because the ignition is on. As long as the ignition is on, you'll be able to use your jacks. You don't want to level your coach with the HWH jacks until you've walked around your coach and made sure that there's nothing under the jacks where they would come down. Rocks, for instance, large rocks or boulders. You also want to check your reveals in your slide outs and make sure that your reveals all have an even 3/8 gap all the way around the slide out. And then you would want to go into the leveling process. So we'll look at the reveals and show you how that's done, but in short, to auto level, the button you'd want to press is here on the upper left. So if I'm ready to level my coach, I can press the auto level button here, and that's going to allow the coach to let the air out of the airbags, and then the jacks will extend to the ground and level the coach. You'll see right here there's a yellow light or amber. That's indicating the coach is just slightly to the left-hand side. So if I go ahead and press the auto level, you can hear the air going out of the bags, and the coach is going into the leveling process. This leveling process is going to be done after you run the slide outs open or extend. Now, as the jacks go down, you'll see a red light for these jacks are extending. You hear the warning buzzer, and for each jack that extends, you'll see another red light over here. As each jack goes down, the red light tells you that it's extending. So, the auto level light went out, all of our jacks are down, and our coach is level. The same procedure is used to auto store with the ignition on, and then you would hit auto store. And as each jack retracts, the red lights that you see here will go out because the jack has retracted. So the front two jacks are up. Now the rear two will follow. And once the red lights go out and the jacks are completely retracted, the warning buzzer will go off. The warning buzzer is telling you that you cannot travel or release the parking brake if your engine's running. In other words, you don't want to move the coach when the jacks are extended. You want to wait till they're fully retracted. Once the jacks are fully retracted, the red lights are going to go out. You'll start the coach and let it air up. Now, our warning buzzer stopped, our red lights are clear. We can start the coach and let it air up. We put our foot on the brake. We start the coach, and once the coach starts, we can see the air pressure starting to build back up in the front and the rear. So once that air pressure is up, you would run your slide outs back in or retract. Then we are ready to travel. So just in front of our HWH leveling pad, we've got our mirror control and the heat for both left and right side mirrors. So if we need to defog or defrost our mirrors, we want to have this turned forward or up so the red light appears. That means the heat is going into the mirror to defrost or defog it. And then to make the adjustments to the left or driver side mirror, you'd want to push it to the left and then up and down, left and right adjustments until you get it where you like. Then switch it over to the passenger side, the right side, and adjust that mirror. And once you've got that adjusted, you're ready for travel. Put it back in the center. That way, in case you touch it again, your mirrors won't move if you leave it in the center. If you're done defrosting or there was no fog, you can just leave it off. The controls just in front of that are your air horn. So if we have the air horn on, that's going to be your loudest horns. If you have that off, you're just going to have your street horn. There's two different kinds of horns on your coach. This is our window for the driver's side, open and close. And our ATC override is your traction control for wet, slippery conditions like snow, ice, even rain. You can turn that on and off here. And when you do, you'll see the traction control comes on or off. Just in front of that, we have our cup holders. And moving forward, we have our phone charger. You just put our phone here to charge it. This is our parking brake. We always want to pull the parking brake towards us when we come to a stop. When we're ready to travel, we want to put our foot on the brake and press it forward to release. Then we can drive or travel. But if we're not moving and the coach is going to be parked, even if someone's just exiting the coach momentarily, we want to pull the parking brake and leave it on for safety. We have our headlights here, our headlights in the automatic position, our off position, marker light position, and headlight position on. Once we have our headlights on, we have the ability to go to bright or dim here. We have our handle here for our turn signals, left and right. We have our wiper wash solution button here and our intermittent adjustment here. So if we wanted to adjust the wipers to be intermittently turned on or off, we can do that right here. And we can go to our settings for that intermittent wiper right here. On is the straight line, intermittent is the dotted line, and then 0 is wipers off. If we look down the column on the left side, we'll notice a very small press touch button here. That button is for your entrance door key code and changing the Trimark code. So if we depress that button, we have to press it, and then we'll be able to hear a series of tones outside at the handle, which will allow us to change that entrance code. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it's right here on your left-hand side of the column. It's about halfway down the column. Just beside the column, there's a pedal, a small pedal, a foot pedal for your left foot. If we press that down, we're going to be able to make adjustments to our wheel, telescoping it towards us, retracting or pushing it down, and also tilt. Once we release it, it's going to lock it into that position that we had the steering column and wheel into. So if I press it, it's going to release. I can make an adjustment. Once I have it where I want, telescope or tilt, then I release the foot pedal and it's locked into position. So let's say I'm exiting the seat and I need extra room, I can just press it down and tilt the wheel all the way forward if I'd like. Gives you more knee and leg room to move. On the left-hand side, just below our coffee cup or mug holder, we have two additional ports. This is the USB auxiliary inputs port at the top, and that's for your entertainment center, your radio here, your Excite radio. We'll get to that in a minute. You can plug into that to go into your radio. And below that, we have another charging port here, which has the USB and the USB-C charging port. So we can plug into that to charge other accessories. Just beside our phone charger, we have our dome light for straight above the driver's seat here. And we have our fog lights. So if we have our bright lights on and our fog light switch turned on, the fog lights will go off when the bright lights are on. So just keep that in mind. If you see your fog lights go out when you turn your bright lights on, that's a normal feature or function of the fog lights. We talked about the headlight switch right here in the front. A is automatic. If we leave it in automatic, the lights will come on automatically. If we look at the Freightliner glass dash, we can start over at the left-hand side and we'll move across and we'll look at what the gauges are, and then we'll scroll through the home button here on the left-hand side to show you how to select and or change settings for your accessories. So if we start on the left here, you'll notice the large gauge here, that's your tachometer. You'll notice we're low on fuel. That's in big print there. This is our menu in the middle, and those menu tabs are accessible when we press the up arrow, and then we press the OK to make that selection. And we'll get to that in a minute. We have our parking brake set. So when this is red and lit up, it means that our parking brake is engaged. If I press the brake and then release the parking brake, you'll see it went out. So always make sure that when you pull that parking brake, that illuminates. That tells you the parking brake is set. Just beside that, we have our miles per hour and our headlight marker light indicator, along with our lane mitigation warning system and our mobile eye. To the lower left, we have our temperature, engine temperature here, our gear or drive indicator here, our miles, our oil pressure, and in the center lower we have our fuel at the top, and then our additive indicator is just below that. That's for your DEF. So your DEF gauge is here and your fuel is up here. We were looking at the air pressure before. We have our ride airbags here, front and rear, and our distance to low, where distance to empty is showing low fuel right now. And then our chassis battery is showing the voltage right here at 12.1 volts. These are your air tank PSI indicators. They fill the airbags of your coach. They have to be at approximately 130 PSI each before you'd want to drive your coach. You will hear the air pop-off valve when they are full. This is your left-hand cluster is how you scroll through your center or menu icons. The up and down arrows will move as you press down or up. And once you come to the one that you want to select, then you would press the OK button in the center. So I press the OK. Now I'm into that screen. I'm showing distance to empty low. I can reset that once I fill up. If I want to just scroll back to the front where I went into that screen, I can press this button on the right, and or I can go to the home screen. The home screen goes all the way back. So if I'm at the home screen, just press that. I can go to my steering effort, for instance. Now, I've selected that as my favorite. So if I'm in one of the other ones and I want to change my steering effort a little bit maybe easier, I can, since it's on my favorites tab, I can just press my favorites and it goes right back to the steering effort. You can set any one of those icons as your favorite, but in this case, we've got our steering effort set. If I go to, let's say, my tire pressure and press the OK button, I can see all of the pressure and temperature of each of my tires. If I want to go back to the first page of this tire pressure, just press the back arrow and I'm right back to that one. There's trip, vehicle settings, diagnostics, road watch. Let's take a look at that. What is road watch? Oh, one too far. If we press that, we can see for the cruise control, if we press OK now, it's an adaptive cruise control. We can set the distance that it reads to the traffic in front of us to a shorter distance, medium, or a much longer distance. And the cruise will adapt to how fast you're moving. So instead of just staying at one speed, your coach will slow down if the traffic in front of you is slowing down. Now you still need to come over to the right-hand side of the wheel and turn the cruise on. Once you do that, then you'll have to set the cruise to where you want your speed to be approximately, and then the adaptive cruise will keep you at this distance. You can set or click on resume, or the center button is cancel. So if I have my cruise set but I just want to cancel it, press the center button. The icon to the left is your speaker here at the radio. So if I have my radio on here and I press this, it cuts off all the volume. You can see here it went to the X. To turn the volume back on, I can just press it again and my volume is back on. If I want to make a telephone call, I can do that right here. Make the call and or hang up. The small button to the right is to flash the marker lights right here. I can just do a quick flash. That way the traffic in front of or behind me will see my marker lights just quickly flash on and off. In the center is your horn. This is your horn for both the air horn and the city horn for whichever one you've selected over here. So the handle on the right side of the column is going to be your gear shift. So once I have the ignition turned on and the engine running, I'll be able to look here on the left-hand side center of this gauge. I can see I'm in the neutral right now, and since the engine's not on, it will not indicate drive until I turn the engine on. But once I turn the engine on, holding the brake, the engine starts. I can select D, and you can see it change to D here at the indicator, or if I select reverse, it's going to show R. And of course, neutral is where I want to be when I set my parking brake to on. So once I want to drive, I'm going to release the parking brake with my foot on the brake and then select drive or reverse. It'll show me the indicator, and then I can travel in that direction. Once I come to a stop, it's obviously the opposite with my foot on the brake. Put the coach in neutral, the neutral indicator comes on, and then pull the parking brake towards you to set it, and you can see here my parking brake is on. There is a manual shift available here, so if you want to shift the coach manually, this is the button that you would press, and then you're going to see another icon appear if I'm in drive, and I switch here to the manual. Now I can change my gear here to different settings manually by pulling it towards me or pushing it away from me. To switch back to automatic shifting, press it again. Now I'm in the automatic shifting. Back to neutral, pull my parking brake towards me, make sure the parking brake light's on, release the brake, and now I can turn my engine off. Just below our shift lever on the right-hand side and our engine brake, we have our emergency flash. So when we press that, our emergency road hazard flashers are turned on. Front and rear of the coach are flashing. To turn it off, we just turn that, press it again, and it turns off. The engine brake is an adjustment here on the same lever. The engine brake uses the engine to slow the coach down as we're moving forward, and we have it set to low, medium, or high. The exhaust that's coming out of the engine will help slow us down as we're moving forward, so we don't have to press the pedal as hard to come to a slower speed or to stop. And that is just an adjustment you make here. If you don't want the engine brake assist on, just leave it all the way in the up position, then it will be off. We're moving over into the center of the cockpit here, and the first thing we want to take a look at is our Freightliner key fob. The Freightliner key fob has to be within close proximity of our press to start button here in order to start the engine. So if this is outside the coach, you won't be able to start the engine here. There is a small amber indicator light on right now. You can see it flashing red. If for any reason this battery inside is dead and you're not able to press to start, we can take the key fob itself and we can press and touch it against the button, and the coach will start even though the battery inside the key fob is dead. If that happens, just be sure and get a replacement battery and remove and replace the battery inside. But again, this has to be somewhere in close proximity to the touch to start button to activate the accessories, put our jacks down, and or put our foot on to press it a second time to start. So looking at our Excite radio, we see that we have menu, navigation, camera, and favorites here. So if we go back to our menu, we can make selections here. Some of those selections, like nav, are also on this page. So if we press the nav here, we have to accept, and that will take us to the navigation page. If we're at the menu, we can still go to that same page just by pressing nav there. It's just a little faster if you press the nav here. Our camera selection for our right-hand half of the screen is here. So once we get to the camera selection, now we can choose if we want to take a look at any one of these individually: front, right side, rear. So when we're in the camera selection on the right-hand side, we can view the sides, side and fronts, or surround. If we're using a trailer that we're towing and it has cameras, we can select trailer cam 1 or 2. But we don't have one hooked up now, so it's not going to show any video detected. If we're looking at the rear, and that always appears if we're in reverse, we can change the setting to a little bit further or furthest. So this one would be the closest view. This would be a mid-range rear view, and the furthest is here. So that's it when we're making a selection. Now, there are times that you're not going to be able to select when you're driving and you turn your right-hand turn signal on, then the right-hand turn signal camera automatically goes over to the right side so you can see the right turn lane. Same with turning left. It's going to show the left-hand camera so that when I make that turn, I can see where I'm going. Our next button down below the camera is our favorites. This one is set to favorites for the camera right now, and we can change that to any one of the others in the menu if we'd like. As we scroll through our selections in the menu, our first one in the upper corner is our radio. So if we selected the radio, now we can go into that radio and change frequency bands. We can do tuning selections, seek, and we can have our favorite settings down here below. If we go into the media center from the menu, we can set our media center here. We can set that up if we like. We have Sirius XM in the menu. So if you have a Sirius XM account, you'll be able to make those selections there. There is Bluetooth. So if you want to make a telephone call here on the steering column, you'll need to have your phone selected and the Bluetooth turned on to use the steering column to make a call on your phone here. This was the phone that was recently connected to this radio. There's an HDMI selection. There's an auxiliary plug, which is also there. And the camera control, which is here, this camera control is the same one that you have here. So you can use the menu to get to your cameras. It takes you to the same place. Beside that is the iPod selection. And then we just looked at the navigation again. We'll look at that right now. There's showing where we're at. It's looking for a GPS signal because we're in the building, so it's not going to show one. But we can go into the menu. We can select routes. We can scroll over. We can select shopping. We can go into our settings and change our route preferences, warnings, navigation views, traffic, weather, and online services. This is our back arrow. Takes us right back to our navigation. The last icon is our setup. You can refer to your owner's manual for completing your setup, but in the setup screen, we can adjust our bright, dim, our tones, our standby screens, our compass displays, etc. There are actually 2 pages to this settings. In here we can see the other settings that are available. To get back to the main menu, just press menu. To turn this off, we press and hold this button just for a second, and the screen will go out. Back to the splash screen. So just below our Excite radio screen, we have our toggle switches here. Starting at the left-hand side, we have an important one. This is our battery boost. So what is a battery boost? So you have two different kinds of batteries in your coach. One is your house battery set, and the other is your chassis battery set. So if either one is low on charge and you need to boost it, you can boost it towards the set that's low. So if I want to take the chassis batteries and boost the house, I can press this way. If I want to take the house and boost the chassis batteries, for instance, let's say the coach won't start, I just press that one. Press it down towards chassis. When I do that, I need to hold that down for about 60 seconds, and then I would go ahead and press the start button. And that will allow the voltage that's in the house batteries to boost my chassis batteries so I can get started. If that happens and you get going in either direction for whichever side was low, you want to make sure and get them charged up. And to do that, we would want to start our generator over here. So to start the generator, we just press and hold. You'll see the light flashing, and you'll hear our generator start after it's primed. Now we'll be able to charge our batteries. When we're done using the generator, we just press the stop. We can move over to the next switch. This is our tag dump. So our tag axle, you may want to dump the air out of it manually. And to do that, we can press down towards manual dump. This might be done in a backing up situation for tighter turning, or if the road conditions are such that you want the tag to be released out of air, then you can do that right here. It does it automatically when you put it in reverse. The next switch over is the heating fan, which is right here at the base of the center of the dash. There's a heating fan for the cockpit area, and you can turn that fan on if the ITR Oasis is on and heated up. And I would just press this front fan high or low, but it's not coming on now because the ITR Oasis isn't heated up. So have to hydronic system on in your coach, and we'll get to that in a little bit and show you where that's at. Our next switch over is the upper overhead fans. This will help us to keep the windshield defrosted. Can turn that on here, and then I can make my adjustments to the speed of those fans here. High, medium, and low. If I don't need any air movement in the front of the coach for defrosting or just air flow, I can leave those off. I have my docking lights here. Docking lights are on the outside. We'll show you where those are at. Our courtesy lights for interior, on and off. Our generator start we showed you. And if we want to unlock the entrance door, we can do that right here. Our visors and shades are right here in the cockpit area. We can go up or down here with our visor or shade. Now you'll see the shade only wants to go up even though I'm pressing down. That's because the ignition switch is on, and it has a built-in safety feature that if the ignition is on, whether you're pushing the visor up or down, it's only going to go up, and that gets it out of your way, especially if you're getting ready to drive and your ignition is on, the shade will go up. Once I turn the ignition off, then I press down. You can see the shade will come down. The three knobs just below are your air conditioning and heating for the cockpit area only. If our accessory switch is turned on and we have the fan switch turned on to at least number 1, then we'll be able to turn our settings on here. If we press the upper button, that recirculates the air in the cockpit. And then we have to have the ignition turned on. Once the ignition is turned on and we press the snowflake button, you'll see the blue LED light come on. That means our air conditioning is on. If we don't want the air conditioning on, we can press it again. It turns off. Or if we don't want to recirculate air, we want some fresh air coming in, we turn our recirculation button off. And then, of course, our heat is warmer, cooler. All the way left if you're going to run your air conditioning. And our selection for defrost or floor heat or mid for these vents. To turn the system off, here in the dash, just go to 0 and then it will completely turn off. Just below those, we have 2 drawers for storage. Just above the steering wheel, we have our driver's overhead cockpit controls. So these are the controls that you would access when you're not driving and the coach is parked with the parking brake set. You just open this panel, lift up, and it automatically locks here. So as you can see in this compartment, we've got our satellite prep at the very top. So our satellite prep is ready to go. We can connect to the satellite prep. We can put our receiver up here. Once we get that, we can plug it in. We've got 120 volt outlets above. This coach is equipped with a receiver for our Starlink. It's also equipped with a router for your Wi-Fi Ranger here. To the right of that, we have our HWH master reset, and the directions on the label says hold 5 seconds. So if you had an issue where the steps or one of your slide out rooms was not acting correctly or stuck, we can reset the entire HWH system by pressing that button and holding it for 5 seconds and then release. And that should reset your HWH system. Moving down to this panel, starting on the left, we have our panel which shows the energy management system for our inverter charger. The inverter charger is a Victron. These are the pages that show what's happening. You can see it's changing numbers in real time. It's showing that the inverter here in the center is connected to the grid. It shows the AC loads, and it is showing down here what the voltage is and our percentage of battery. If we want to scroll into the settings, we just touch the screen and we can see our other loads. If we press it again, we should be able to get our menu screen. So once we see our menu screen, we have another list of devices. And you can go into any one of these devices, inverter 1, inverter 2, your smart charger, notifications, for instance. We can see if there were any. We can go into the settings page. We can go into our general settings, firmware, date, time, remote, system setups, all from these device list pages. To get back to the main screen, just press the Pages button and we're back to that home screen. Just refer to your owner's manual for more information and details on those settings. Just a word about the inverter is the inverter needs to be turned on at the inverter itself in order to operate it at this panel. If you just have the inverter, which is a Victron, turned to charge only, you're not going to be able to operate or view the devices or screens here. You have to have the switch on the inverter turned to inverter setting in order to control it here. The next control over is your television antenna. This is your television antenna control. Once you turn it on, it goes through a scanning process and it tells you how many channels are available. We're inside a building right now, so there are no channels available. But once you have channels available, you can make slight adjustments to the antenna here, left or right. Or if you wanted to, you can press it and it'll go through another search to find more channels. As it finds more channels, if it does, that number of channels available will appear here. Now, this is for your over-the-air television viewing. If you're wanting to watch cable, you want to turn this off. Once this is turned off, you'll be able to view the cable channels coming through the park cable plug in the cord reel compartment, and we'll show you where that park cable plug goes in. But just keep in mind that if you're trying to watch cable and you can't, you probably left this switch on. So make sure this is off and then you'll be able to watch cable. Our next control over is for our Girard awning. We can control it manually here. If you're going to control the awning manually, it's good to have a spotter outside to make sure that when we're operating the awning, there's nothing in the way of those patio awnings, whether you're sending it or extending it or retracting it. And we'll go over these settings when we get outside, but basically you have two patio awnings. The 0 would be controlling both patio awnings at the same time. So we can either control just the front one or just the rear one, or if we have it set on 0, we'll be able to control both at the same time. We can lock the setting here. We can unlock it. In, out, and stop. There are LED lights that we can turn on the awning right here, on and off, if we'd like to. Let's move over to our next set of toggle switches. The one here at the top on the left gives you a warning to be sure to move the driver and passenger seats out of the way towards the forward position before you activate either one of these switches. So before I send the room out or in, I want to go over to the driver's seat and make sure that it's far enough forward so that the front of the room is not going to hit on the back side of either one of the seats, because if that happens, it's going to bend the seat and the platform, and then you're going to need to have those repaired. So keep that in mind before you send the room in or out on either the driver's side or passenger side. Move the seat. Our next switch over is the exterior LEDs, and then our entrance step. If you want to keep the entrance step out or extended, we leave it on. If you want the entrance step to move out every time you open the door, and then every time you close the door to go retract, then you leave it off. A lot of times you want to leave that on if you just want the steps to stay out. That in case you're running in and out of your coach often, the steps won't keep moving back and forth. The Wi-Fi router is here. If you leave that on, your Wi-Fi router will be turned on, and you'll be able to get the router connected to your devices in your home here through the antenna on the roof. There's a button that's not used in this case. This is optional satellite system button. There is some optional equipment here. We've got a driver's side window awning and a passenger side window awning. Security lights here, driver and passenger, on and off. We have our drapes here. Up and down. Our door privacy drapes here, down and up. And then the final button here on the right-hand side is for your main house lithium batteries. If this is illuminated, the BMS, or the battery management system for those batteries, is turned on, and you have power coming from the lithium batteries into your house. If this is pressed and there's no blue illumination around the button, there's no power from your batteries coming in your house. So when you first get in your coach, or you first want to turn your coach on, you're going to have to make sure that this button is depressed. Then the battery management system for those lithium batteries will come on, and this button will illuminate, and you'll be able to turn your lights on and operate your coach. If this is not turned on, you won't have any power. Now, if you're using your coach and this would happen to shut off by itself, that means you're on your last 10% of power, and you'd want to turn your generator on or plug your coach into power when you press it again to turn it on. In other words, this can go out by itself if you're down to your last 10% of energy in your lithium batteries. And if that happens, yes, you can press it again and turn it on, but you're on your last 10%, and you want to make sure to get those batteries charged before that goes out again, because then you would be on your last 1 or 2% in your battery, and then you need a special battery charger to charge those up. So beside the overhead with our controls in it, we have more storage over here. And then moving over towards the passenger side, we've got our forward TV, more storage. These are the awning control boxes, which also manually control the Girard awnings if you need to. They are both plugged into a 120 volt outlet here, and the LED light tells you that they're powered up. So if for some reason you lost power or the plug wasn't in, you're not going to have the LED light. So in order to operate your Girard awnings, make sure your coach is plugged in, or make sure your inverter is turned on and plugged in here in the overhead. So that's your forward and rear Girard awning controls. You can open, stop, and close the awning from this position, as well as the remote control or the overhead controls. So gives you another option for control. So when you enter or exit the coach, there is a switch here. As you come in, you can turn all the lights off right here just by pressing this down. Just beside the passenger seat, as you enter the coach, you'll see a red fire extinguisher at the base. There's a small black strap. If you need to release it, just press the strap down and you can pull the fire extinguisher out. Above that, there are two switches here. One is for the baggage door lock and unlock, and the one that's illuminated is your battery disconnect. So to have power in your coach, the battery disconnect switch has to be turned on and the red light illuminated. And just below the battery disconnect, there's another black button type switch. If you depress this switch, it will allow you to extend the steps here that I'm standing on. These are HWH steps. So if the sensor in the step is not allowing it to extend, then you can just press this to override the extension so the steps come out and you can exit or enter. There's a small storage compartment here, and above that there's a cup holder, another phone charger. Above that you've got your patio light switch, your visor shade, which is behind the night shade. We've got your step cover and your map light. So what's the step cover? So if you wanted to stand in this area but you didn't want to be on the steps, there's a cover that comes across the steps that you can press. It extends so you can stand here just like it would be on the floor. So if I press that step cover, you can see the steps coming out and going up, and it locks. So now I can stand here without being down on the steps. When I'm finished and I want to travel again, I can move the step cover down and store it away. So just above our set of switches here, we have a screen. This screen is a mirror image of what the driver sees. It's a buddy screen. So if the passenger would like to help navigate or view different camera angles, we can just turn this screen on and we can go to navigation or cameras, and then we can select the views. To move this screen out and over, there's a adjustment. We can move this over and then tighten the arm, or we can position it towards the passenger this way. Then to store it back in, we just move it over and then tighten it. Now we're moving over to the seat controls. So when you sit down in the seat, you'll be able to move the armrest down, but this is adjustable. So you have a small lever that's underneath this hidden fold. You can reach in, pull up to release the lever, and then you can lock it into different places, whether you like it lower or higher. And of course, you can just push it up out of your way when you're finished using it. Below those are the touch controls here. Our first switch over is cooling or heating. Right now it's red, so we're in the heating settings. Low heat, high heat, medium heat. And then pushing the switch down is cooling. So when we go to the cooling position, we have air ventilation here in the seat, high, cool, medium, and low. And when there are no lights illuminated, it's off. And this one is your seat back tilt. And then you've got your footrest here, extend and retract. And then you can move your entire seat forward or back, or tilt the base instead of the back. On the opposite side of the seat, there is a lumbar here switch on the front. We can control our lumbar. I'll turn the seat around. There's a lever that you pull up, and then now we can rotate the entire seat this way. I make sure that we have the seat far enough forward, and make sure our seat back is tilted forward. And now we can turn the seat around towards the living area. To do that, you have to release this lever here. You have to release that, then you can turn your seat all the way around to the living room area. This is the lumbar adjustment. And then when you're finished in this position, we can just rotate it back around and you'll hear it lock into place. Now you're ready for travel. So your driver seat controls are just like the passenger side: heat, cool, and adjustment forward and back and tilt. There's also a release lever. The footrest extension will not extend until the park brake is set. So just keep that in mind. That's for your safety. So as we're moving over into the living room area, you'll notice here that we have a small plastic cup, which is the forward zone 1 or living room sensor for temperature for your HVAC, heating or cooling. Above that, we have a speaker and a 120 volt outlet with charger plugs for USB and USB-C. A stand here with storage. Another 120 volt outlet here with chargers. More storage space up here. You've got a Bose speaker and your audio visual cabinet. This is where you would put your Blu-ray DVD player or your satellite receiver. The satellite receiver plug is there. They're labeled satellite source, Blu-ray DVD, along with 120 volt outlet plugs there. And more storage here. And more storage here. The TV lift is controlled on the opposite side of the room. We'll demonstrate that and then we'll show you how that works. As the TV lift comes up, we'll grab our remote control. The on-off for the television is up in the upper left corner. Just press to turn on. Now you will have to program the TV with the WineGuard antenna on for over-the-air channels. You will also need to turn the WineGuard antenna off and program for the cable channels when you want to watch the cable. So whether you're watching over the air or cable, you'll need to program or scan for those channels that are available. And we'll show you how to do that now. We'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here. And now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wine guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels. Yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the wine guard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air wine guard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. So this is a sleeper sofa, and you'll need to remove the back cushions to open it up into a bed. So you just take the pillows off, and there's Velcro holding these on, so just pull that away from the Velcro. Now, in behind the back of the seat here, there's a pull strap that releases it. So you want to pull that up to release. Now you can fold it out and down. And then the back will fold down into a bed. Just operate in the reverse to store it away. Grab the strap again, lift up and fold back, and just put our cushions back. So across from the TV, we have our theater seating. The theater seating has an adjustable tilt and extension for your footrest. The buttons to operate are right here for open and close and for the lighting. So if I want to extend my footrest and tilt the seat back, I can just press this button until I get it where I want adjusted. And then to retract it is just press the center button. At the front of the cup holders, there's a USB charger on both sides. In the center, there's a storage compartment with a sliding drawer. So we can move that sliding drawer forward or back. And there's lots of room down in the center for storage. Just to the left side, we have a touch screen. This is the touch screen that controls all of the rooms in the coach for lighting, for the television lift, just by pressing the room or all on off. For instance, if I pressed all off and then all on, you can see the lights go on and off. Or if I just want to dim them a little bit, I can make an adjustment here for dim or bright. This also controls the shades. The shades, you'll have to go into the home screen to control the shades, lights, fans, and TV lifts. Just press the one that you want to look at or view. In this case, I'm looking at the tanks. At the tank area, I can see additional icons at the bottom for water pump, autofill, or top off. To get back to any of the other screens and operate, let's say, the shades, I can do that here. All coach day, all coach night, just press button, and then all the shades will go up or down. And then back to the home screen for any of the other functions. This is a reflection of your 10-inch panel, which is in the mid section of the coach and does almost everything that that panel can do, but it's just a smaller view of the same panel. Above our theater seating is more storage area here. And moving into the kitchen dinette area, additional storage in the overheads. At the base of the seat on both sides, there's a drawer that pulls out for more storage below. At the back, underneath the table, there's two doors, and that's an access panel to your plumbing. The table can be extended, so there are additional leaves that are in the back bedroom underneath the bed base. You can pull this out, and if you pull it to its furthest point of extension, there's a leg that you'll need to pull down that's on a magnet, and then you'll need to set that to the open position to hold the weight. There are two additional chairs that we can set here, and we'll show you that along with adding the leaves. If I'm going to add the leaves to the table, they're back stored underneath the bed lift. Just set that down and line it up with the other steel plates. And we can add both, and then we would close to tighten. So if we're going to add just one, then I wouldn't need this to be down. I'd want that up until I made my adjustment here. Now I can extend the leg down to hold the, if you're going to add one leaf, you won't need to add or pull down the leg. If you're going to use two leaves, then you'll want to extend the leg down. After we make our adjustments, we've got the chairs we can set up here. The opposite would be to store it. If we're going to store it, just pull it open, remove the leaf, and close the table. So as we move into the kitchen area, we've got our microwave, extra storage above that, and we'll just go across the cabinets here. We have a pull-out drawer here. Inside, you'll find the owner's operator's guides. On the back wall, the plug that comes over from the microwave is there, so if you need to unplug the microwave, that's where you would find the cord. More storage here and above. We have our beverage cooler here. There's a key to lock this. We'll show you where that is in a minute. The touch control here is the same as the one we were just viewing, and the controls are the same, but it's convenient to have it here in case you need to operate the overhead fan while you're cooking or in the kitchen area. There are covers here for the sink that can be stored down below. You just slide the covers in here and then all the way back. This can be rotated on and off, hot and cold. We have our cooktop here. On the back side of the cooktop covers, we have some cutting boards. So that's a convenient, you can leave your cutting boards out here if you like. And you'll need to have the pans that are magnetic in order for this cooktop to work. This cooktop is turned on and off by this icon here. Just press to turn it on. Put your pan in place and then adjust your settings. If you don't make an adjustment with the pan on, this will automatically turn off. When you're finished cooking, make sure this area is cool before you put the covers back on. If you'd like to take your cooktop outside, it is portable. You can grab the sides, lift up, and unplug it here and take it outside for cooking, and then return when you're finished, plug it back in, and then put the covers back on. The pull-out drawer just below the range or cooktop, you have all of your remote controls, additional sets of keys for the beverage cooler, your coach. You have additional tools to adjust the motor for your awning or emergency closing your awning, your Girard awnings. We're going to demonstrate how this one works to clean the air filters for your air conditioners. So you would take this tool, insert it into one of the louvers. After you insert it, rotate it and pull down. Now I can access all of my filters on the passenger side just by reaching up and pulling the holder down. Now I can take the filter out, clean it, wash it with warm soapy water, dry it, put the filter back, and reinsert. You'll need to do that to each one of these filters in the front and the rear zone of the coach. When you're finished, you can just push this up and the magnetic strips will grab together. So your dishwasher here is locked when it's off. So it auto locks when the power's out. To open it and do your dishes, you just press to turn it on. You can hear it come on and unlock. Now we can open it up, put our wash in, and then do our settings for cleaning. If we want to lock it to make it child-proof, we can just press the lock button here. Now it's locked. If we want to unlock it so we can operate it again, just press and hold it until the lock goes out. And then, of course, before you travel, you want it to stay closed during travel, so you want to turn it off. That relocks the door so it won't open in travel. So here underneath the sink, we have more storage here. And we have pull-out drawers down below, along with the trash receptacle and the slide holder for this, the covers for the sink. So the intervac system can be hooked up with the hose and floor sweeping accessories here just by opening this up and removing this label. You can plug your hose in here and then operate the floor sweeping attachments. If you'd rather just use a broom and dust all of the material over to this area, you can open this up and just sweep it in here. With your coach, you have your intervac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, just plug it in. And then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the intervac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away, but be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on. So as we move over into the pantry and refrigerator area, we've got a double door here with drawers that you have to push in to release and close to lock. These are adjustable. You can move them to the position you'd like if you want to have more space between one or the others. Same with the bottom here. You can remove these, slide them over. You can move these over into a different position. The refrigerator is a triple door stainless steel with a water dispenser here. It has an additional lock that Newmar puts on to keep the doors from opening while you're traveling. Left is lock. So with this mechanism slid to the left or rear of the coach, these doors will not open while you travel. Once you come to your destination, you want to unlock it, move to the right. Now your doors will open and close. In the freezer, we've got the ice cube tray with the ice maker in back. The bay alarm has to be down in order to make ice. We've got, when you get the refrigerator new, you'll get a filter in the door. This needs to be inserted to filter your water. You would insert that and then close this door to filter the water. In addition to the water filter, there's air filters, and those can be replaced in the back center. To turn the refrigerator on and off, it's the two buttons on the left and the right, the outer buttons. So if I want to turn the refrigerator off, I would just press and hold those. Now the cooling is off. To turn it back on, just press, hold, and it's on. This controls the lighting, and this resets the air filter time. The number of snowflakes for the refrigerator is here. The more snowflakes, the colder it gets. The fewer is warmer. So you can set your freezer temperature the same way. The more snowflakes, the colder it will get. And of course, this is just your dispenser for your cold water. Just to the left of that is another pantry area, or if you move the drawers down, you could use this for closet space as well and hang your clothes here. You can move your shelves down and use this area for a closet. Just beside the half bath here in the middle of the coach, you have your 10-inch touch panel where you can control almost all of the functions that take place in your coach. Just touch it to wake it up, and you'll see your brand of coach in the center. You've got your time dimmer switch for the screen if you want to dim it down. And then at the bottom, the icons going across, starting at the home screen, will show the state that your batteries are in, if the tanks have any fluid in them, and it will give you controls for your lights and your shades. This is all at the home screen, but you can go in individually to, let's say, the lighting, for instance, here, or shades here. This is just a shortcut. It also shows you the temperature in the center, temperature that you want your coach to be at and what it actually is. Door locks, cargo, entry, and master here. And then if we want to control individual climate for any of the rooms, we can do that here. To turn on the heat, we obviously have to turn on the burner or elements to heat up the water or heat up the air in the coach. Shades for all the rooms. The vent fans in the kitchen, bathroom, and the half bath. And then we have the floor heat, front, middle, and rear. Our power management for our 120 volt and battery charging. Our exterior awnings and lighting and door locks. And then of course the last icon is our lights in the coach for each room. The screen has a dimming function here at the top right and a Bluetooth connectivity so that you can actually connect your smartphone or iPad via that Bluetooth connection, and then you can use your phone or your iPad or smart device and control your coach with the same type of controls that this screen does. So as long as you're connected with the Bluetooth, you can actually do everything that this panel does. So let's go to our home screen, starting at the left and the bottom, and we'll just go over this briefly for each of the selections you can make. From the home screen, you'll notice in the very center of the screen, you've got all zones are synced together at one temperature. So we can adjust the temperature in the coach just by pressing here for temperature up or temperature down. And we can select the upper left or left side here. We can look at our tanks, water pump, And each time that we press a selection for those icons, you'll notice there's a blue line that appears underneath. That means that it's turned on. The cargo entry master locks, these are all door locks here on the right hand side. And just above that are your lighting and shade controls. At our home screen, we can make some basic selections on our climate, which is in the center, or on the right, we can adjust our lighting or shades. But to do more of an individual setting, we would choose an icon on the bottom here, on the bottom row, and we can go into those rooms or climates individually. The home screen is just for making those quick adjustments and looking at our tanks and or our batteries. Shows our house and chassis battery state of charge for our house because they're lithium batteries, and our chassis battery voltage. So starting at the bottom left, just beside the home screen, which we're on now, is we can go to climate. And you'll notice that the icon in the center appears the same. It looks the same, but it shows the temperature. And now we can go into each one of those rooms, living room, bathroom, or bedroom, and we can change the setting individually, or if we leave all zones synced, then we can make the temperature adjustment here up or down, and all of the rooms will be at close to the same temperature. You'll notice on the far left there is an icon for setup, so we can go into a more detailed setup for our climate. Enable climate here. You'll notice in the center, enable AGS. So if we enable our AGS, which is our automatic generator starter, that way if we have our temperature set for our air conditioner, we'll be able, our temperature will maintain if we're not plugged in because the generator will come on. But you have to enable the generator if you want your temperature to be maintained, let's say for air conditioning in the coach. Just to the right of that, you have your dual heat. And we have, if we go back to that climate screen, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have our Oasis. The Oasis is our hydronic heat for water and air heat. You have to have the Oasis burner turned on. So if you press that, you'll notice the blue line comes on. That means the burner is turned on. And then it gives you a status on the right. Burner is active. In addition to the heat from the burner, you can select the element 1 and or 1 and 2 just below that. Just by pressing them, you'll see the blue icon come on or off as I press it. And on the right hand side of those, it gives you more information. That tells you if the element is shed. So if there's not enough power to run the element, for instance, you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp, you may notice it could say shed. Just below that, you've got your half bath heater. Inside the half bath, there's a blower for heat. We can turn that on and off as well. Moving to the shades, you've got your selection of room, living room, kitchen, bedroom, bath, or half bath, and then the day or night or all coach day and all coach night shades. Just beside that, you've got your fans. We can control the fans in each room, kitchen, bathroom, or half bath just by turning it on, and high, medium, low for each fan. If there's moisture in the air that might stop the fan from opening and coming on, you can press the rain override switch. If the rain override is on each one. So if you want the fan to come on and the lid to open, and it might be a real slight mist or rain outside, you can do that just by overriding the rain switch. Just to the right of that, we have our floor heat, front, middle, or rear. We can turn our power on first. Once we turn our power on, we show the icon that it's turned on, and then we can select low, medium, or high for each one of those areas. It doesn't set a temperature, but it gives you heat in a range of those settings. Our power icon is showing our power systems for alternating current or AC power on the left. And then on the right side, you've got your solar and generator. On the left side, you've got more detailed information on each leg coming in for 120 volt. And if our inverters are turned on, inverter 1 and 2, you'll have the blue icon that's lit up underneath. You want to leave your inverters turned on in case you lose shore power or generator. That way the food in your refrigerator will stay cool. On the right side, you've got your charger settings, 1 and 2. You want to leave your chargers on so that your batteries will be maintaining a good charge. The battery states of charge are on the very far right. The chassis voltage is given, and the house batteries, you don't get a voltage, you get a state of charge, and they're at 76%. The next icon over is systems. If you press that, you're going to see more detailed information coming in on leg 1 and leg 2 of your shore cord. It gives you the volts that are being supplied along with the amperages that are available. You'll notice that there is a blue line under everything that is operational or functional. If the blue line disappears, that means that that particular device, let's say for instance the AC, which is your rooftop air conditioner, if that blue line goes out and it's just a small white line, that means that it's been shed or it will not operate because there's not enough power. And you would typically see that when you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp supply cord, or if you're not running your generator. The next selection over is solar. If you have solar panels up on your roof, you're going to see the status and the voltages. The next one over is your generator. You can start your generator or stop your generator, and it gives you the demands that are being used. You can go into setup here, and if you need to set up your quiet time, you can do that for quiet time and the duration of hours. The chassis state of charge is showing on this screen as well. Our next screen over is the exterior. Our awnings. In the middle is your exterior lights and your door locks. Just by pressing any one of the awnings, you're going to open or close it. If you're going to operate your awnings, you should have someone outside to make sure that the awning is not going to open into something or close something, and you don't want something to be in the way of it. Obviously, the exterior lights on, off, or you can adjust the setting in the bar in the center. The door locks are either on or off. The next icon over is your lighting. It gives you individual selection in each room, turning the lights on and off, or in the center, you can dim the lights with the bar in the center. Going into the bathroom, half bath, bedroom, or kitchen, you can go all on all off, or just bathroom on, bathroom off. There is an aquamizer setting here in the lighting control. The aquamizer is an indicator light, and we'll talk more about that in detail when we get back to the shower. Just below our control screen and displays, we have our Zone 2 or mid-coach HVAC temperature sensor. This is reading the temperature there. So as we come over to our half bath door, there's a push to open lever. Then you lift and it unlocks. As we move into the bathroom, on the back wall, there's a cabinet here. This is where all of our main power supply comes in for 120 volt on the right here. And each one of those power source breakers is labeled for the appliance that it feeds. The main breaker here at the top is the feed from the shore power. It has to be turned on or towards the center this way to have your appliances and other 120 volt items operational. And like I said, each one is labeled: water heater, air conditioner rear, inverter, dishwasher, etc. If any one of these breakers is over to the right like this, or even partially halfway over, that means it's tripped and not supplying power to that floor heat. If that were the case, you would have to move it all the way over to the right and then reset that breaker. So again, make sure they're all towards the center. That means they're all turned on. On the left-hand side are the same type of breakers, but they are breakers for the inverters, inverter 1 and inverter 2. These are the appliances that run off of the inverter. We've got your front air conditioner, for instance, and your refrigerator here. So if any of these trip, those will be in the down position, and then you'll have to reset it by pressing it towards the up. Sometimes, like I said, when they trip, they'll be just halfway down. If that was the case, you have to go all the way down to off and then back up to reset. The floor heat is the same way. These are resettable breakers. You can see they're labeled. The red is reset and the black is test. So if I wanted to test it, I can press it and then I'd need to reset it. This is the module for the ATC Net app. This app will allow you to use a smart device and view everything that you can see and control on your coach on the screens through your phone or tablet. For the 12 volt fuses, if you needed to look up any one of these numbers, for instance F11, you can just come over here and you can see F11 is your passenger side slide out lights. So if your slide out lights aren't working, you know you need to check F11. You would just pull that fuse out, see if it's tripped. If it's tripped, the connection in the center will be gone. Then you can just go grab a fuse in the spare fuse holder here and make sure it's the same number and then put it back in F11. That's how you replace these fuses that might need to be replaced or blown. But the ones on the bottom, like for instance F23, which would be F, or in this case it's F, yeah, that's F23. They didn't label that one. If in case, let's say it's F21, you come down to F21, that's your power stool here. That's a 20 amp breaker. So if your stool wasn't flushing, you would reset or look to see if this breaker was out. You would just press it to reset that toilet fuse. Just to the left of that is more storage. There's a 120 volt power supply here. The medicine cabinet here. And the touch control panel here. This has all the same controls that you have in the kitchen and the living room for lighting, water pump, shades, and fan. Below that is your sink, on and off, hot and cold. More storage here. And this is the flush control for the toilet. If you want more water in the bowl, you can just press the top button to add water. The bottom one is to flush. This green LED tells you it's powered up and operational. But if the tank level gets too high in the black tank, this will turn red and you won't be able to flush. So once you see the tank level go to amber, that's a warning. And then once you see that amber light, you should consider emptying your tanks before it goes red, because once it's red, you won't be able to flush. There's more space for storage down below here and here. On our ceiling, we have our discharge for our HVAC and our exhaust fan that we can turn on right here. So as we enter in the bedroom, we've got our sliding door. To close the door, which is in the travel position now and it's locked, we have to unlock it. To do that, we press down here. That unlocks the door. Now we can close it. And once we go all the way to the left, it will relock here. You can hear it now. That's locked. So the doors will stay in the locked position until we press it down again, unlock it, and open all the way. It will relock in the travel position. So we move over to this wall. We see we have another control for all of the operations of the coach, just like the 10-inch or the others in the front. We have our slide out control for extend and retract, and our awning, which is on the outside window. We have our television, more storage here. And with every coach, you get a black case like this. Inside this case, we've got labels which show the paperwork for your plumbing, your heating, air conditioning, your exterior, electrical, and all of your appliances. So we recommend that you go through, check your paperwork, and make your registrations for your warranty. Either send them in the mail or do it online, and then review all of your owner's manuals and the proper operation. There's an emergency exit window here. To open that shade, we just go into our shades. After we have the shades retracted, there's directions here on the window label how to open this window to exit out. Basically, you just lift up to unlock on both. Once the window is loose, we just push the window to exit out. Since we're not exiting, we're going to keep it closed. We're going to lock it. Just push the tab down. As we enter the bedroom, on the ceiling, it's a CO2 detector. To check the function of it, you have to press and hear the tone. That tells you that the battery's good and that the CO2 detector is working. If you don't hear the tone, you want to check the battery. So you just squeeze, pull down, and here's your battery. You can remove the battery just by pulling the tab back and pulling the battery out. and replacing it. And then once you replace it, you'll need to retest pressing that to make sure you hear the set of tones. On the nightstand on both sides, if you open that nightstand door, there's storage, but there's also a 120 volt outlet with USB and USB-C charger. There's also a small opening at the top here, so you can just run your cord through here without opening this door. So you can set things here to operate. The storage above the bed and back, there's another removable plug where you could bring down cords to come to your charger, or if you had a CPAP machine, you can run that down through here and then plug it in on the back side, 120 volt outlet there or down here. Both sides are the same. They both have the same nightstand with the same 120 volt outlet and storage. And there's end wall shades and windows here. If I open these windows, you'll be able to see how to open those smaller windows. Let me do that really quick. So to open this end wall window, there is a screen. Just rotate, lift up. You can hear it locks into place for fresh air. Then to unlock it, you have to press the tab here and here, and then put the window back down. Just above the top of the bed is another touch panel, and it will give you all the same controls as the other ones in the coach. So as you go into the full bath at the rear of the coach, there's a pocket door here that you can close for privacy. It unlocks the same as the slider door in the bedroom. Just push down, slide the door closed, and it locks. To open it for travel, just push down and open. Once you open it, you'll hear it lock again, and that's in the travel position. As we move into the full bath, at the bottom of the washer dryer area, there's a storage drawer. And as we open these, we'll see our dryer at the top and our washer at the bottom. The settings for heat are here and the timer. For the washer, this is where we put our soap and softener. This is for our settings, and the display tells us what setting it's gone through. On and off button here. If we're going to operate this, we got to make sure our city water is hooked up, or we have our water pump turned on so we can use water out of the fresh tank. But it's important also to remove the outside drain cap, which is the drain for the gray tank. So our gray tank needs to be open, because when this discharges water and you're doing several loads, it's going to fill the gray tank up. So you want the gray tank valve and caps open so all that water drains out and it doesn't overfill the gray tank. As we move back in here to the lav position, we've got another door up here. This door, if we open it, we've got access to the back of the washer and dryer to plug it in or unplug it on the back wall, and for our hot and cold supply for wash. The toilet flush control is the same as the half bath. And on the wall, on the outside here behind the toilet, is an emergency exit door. The emergency exit door needs to be unlocked. If you need to exit out, you'll need to make sure this is unlocked here and that the door is unlocked. You'll need to unlock it here. Once the door is unlocked, we can open it, and there's a panel here. We can remove this panel, and now we can loosen the Velcro on the steps and they fold out and then just release or let the steps go down and they'll extend. Now I can exit out of the coach. To put the steps back up, it's just the reverse. Just lift. And put our Velcro strap back on. Once we have closed the door, we want to relock this. This is the deadbolt lock, and this is the door lock. Just above that, we have our window in the door. We can open that. Has a screen, crank open and close. And of course the shade is a power shade. We just move that back down. We have another storage area here with closet. We have our mirror lights here, vanity lights. Dual sinks, on and off, hot and cold. Now I'm standing on the engine compartment cover. If I need to access the engine or you're taking it in for service, they'll have to access this. If they're not sure how it is removed, it's just taking the plugs out, and then there's a screw in each one that needs to be removed. Once those are out, you want to take this cover off so that this one can be lifted out. This one's just clipped into place on the back side. We just pull it, unclip it, remove it, unplug the floor heat plug, take this cover out, finish the service on the engine, and then put these covers back. There's more storage over here. Area for hanging clothes and more drawers here. The louvers at the bottom of the drawers are for your heat. That's where heat comes out. 120 volt outlet here. There's an access panel right here. We can lift this up and we can access all of our plumbing on the bottom side there. As we move over into the shower area, there's a lock here on the door. We want to make sure that's closed for travel, but open when we need to use the shower. It has magnets that hold the door closed here and at the bottom. As I move into the shower, we've got our dispensers here, our shower, our hand wand, our seat. I won't turn this on because we've got pressure in the coach and I'll get wet. But the way this works is there's a light that you can turn on here. Once this light is turned on, and I'll do that now. So we want to turn the aquamizer on, which is here. So once we turn that aquamizer on, the light just above the control handle here will come on blue, and that allows the water to recirculate through here. And then once it's turning red, that means the water is hot. Once the water is hot, we'll turn this valve over to on instead of recirculate. Once we do that, we'll be able to adjust the temperature where we want, and whether we want to take a shower, we'll turn it up for the shower or over for the handle. When we're finished with our shower, we need to turn this off. So we'd come out and turn the aquamizer off. Just remember, you want to make sure to leave the aquamizer in the shower position, not in the diverter position, because if you leave it in the diverter position, the water that's coming in on the city supply, or if we turn our water pump on, that's going to fill the fresh tank and it may overflow. So we're standing on the outside of the coach, and we're going to show how to open the generator slide. So you'll have to have the ignition turned on accessories. So you have to press the button on the inside. You'll have to come out here, make sure the doors are unlocked, and then at the bottom forward, you'll see HWH generator hydraulic slide. And that's the button that says extend. So when you press that, you'll be able to extend the generator slide. As we enter the gen slide area, we're just going to take a look at what the controls are here in the front. Starting at the bottom, you've got your windshield wiper solution. If you need to add solution, just take the cap off, add, and then put your cap back on. Here is your filter for your ITR Oasis, your hydronic heating system for your hot water and for your heat in your coach for your air. So every 12 months you need to change this filter. Just turn on, twist off, and replace it along with the regular yearly maintenance for the ITR Oasis. This is your ECM control for your coach. These are your street horns. Below that you have a hot water spigot. The hot water spigot comes from the hot water in the ITR Oasis. So if you want to have hot water here, just open this up, but you have to have the burner or the electric elements on to get hot water here. Otherwise, it's just going to be cold. To winterize this line, you want to drain it. It's at a slight angle, so if we open this, all of the water in here will drain out, but still you want to open this because you may have a little water here that you want to drain out. So open this and open this one, drain all the water out. That's going to winterize it, and make sure that the valve that's halfway back is turned off when you do that draining. Looking at the front of this generator slide, you've got your lights. To change a bulb, just twist, remove, reinsert, turn it to the right to lock. These are your turn signals and headlights. These are your air horns. Up front here is your generator. Make sure that your main breaker is turned on here, which is up. If it trips for any reason, it'll be down and you'll have to come out and reset it to have power inside. That has to be turned on or up. To start the generator, we just press and hold that. It has a preheat light and then it'll start. To turn it off, just press stop. If we cycle this, start and stop, the automatic generator starter will be disabled. So if you want your automatic generator starter to be on and you came out here and turned this on manually, you'll have to go back in and reset that on your main panels. Just to the side of that is your Hobbs meter. This tells you how many hours it's been in operation. And just to the right of that, you've got your main panel access for your servicing the generator right here. Of course, there's antifreeze coolant that you add here if you need it. We'll go around the other side. Okay, so we're on the driver's side inside of the generator slide. And if you'll notice here, just above the generator, we have our HVAC box, which controls the heating and cooling in the cockpit area. You won't be able to see it here in the video, but up above there's a sticker or tag that tells you how much refrigerant is used in the system in case it needs a recharge. There's a tag that tells you how much that holds. Just to the left of that, we have the refrigerant filter line dryer, access ports. This is our pressure switch for that system. And you'll see here we have a hydraulic pump for our slide rooms and our jacks and our step. This is the step solenoid here. This system has a fluid tank. The fluid tank is located here. The fluid level should be checked with the slide rooms out and the jacks up. To do that, you just reach in here and twist the cap off. And then you can see the level of the fluid here. If you need to add it, you can add it in that same place and then just replace the cap. If for any reason your pump is not working, there is an additional fuse out here, and that fuse has a cover, and we can check the fuse here. It's a 5 amp. Just to the outside edge here, there's a drain. This drain is for water that accumulates on the roof that comes to this front corner. It drains out of this duckbill here. Now we'll close the generator slide after we turn the ignition switch on. The lighting on the front, starting at the bottom, those are your fog lights and marker lights. We have our turn signals, our bright and dim. Up at the top of the front cap, you'll notice the front camera. And just above the front camera are the marker lights. We have our mirrors, which are adjustable here. There are 3 set screws that hold that in place. If we loosen those Allen screws, all 3, then we can adjust or tilt that on the ball to make that in a better location if the one for the inside adjustment is not enough. The arm is also adjustable by accessing through this plug and the bolt. We can adjust the arm and then retighten it and put our plug back. You'll notice on the windshield there are 2 sensors here. This is for the rain sensor so that your auto wiper will come on. This is for the mobile eye. The mobile eye gives you indications of where you are in your lane or where traffic is in front of you. That displays on the dash, and those you can go into your settings and view. At the base of the bumper area, this is a radar type detection, and when you adjust your cruise, adaptive cruise control, that sensor is behind here, so you want to keep this clear of anything. Snow or ice will interfere with that operation, so if you do have snow or ice buildup on that, clean that off so your adaptive cruise will work. We're standing here in front of the entrance door. You'll notice a sensor. There's a sensor at the front and the rear of the coach for blind spot detection. So when you're driving and something is in this lane in your blind spot, this sensor will pick it up and it will display a yellow or amber light on the mirror. And that lets you know that there's something on this side of the lane and you shouldn't change lanes on this side or towards this side. Just above the sensor, you have your flag holder. Above that, we have your entrance or door awning. The door awning is controlled through the touch panel, so to open that door awning, you'll need to go into the touch panel, whether that's the smaller or the larger one. Just below the door awning is your patio light. We have our door awning. A door awning is a Girard awning. The Girard awnings at your door and your patio awning all the way back. You have 2 more patio awnings here. Can be controlled with your remote control. The channel selection would have to be made. When you scroll through your channels, you'll see you have 1 patio awning, 2 patio awnings, and your door awning. So if you want to operate your door awning, turn it to channel 3 and hit out. There is an LED light switch that you can turn the lights on. It automatically stops. When you're ready to stow it, just press in. You can operate all 3 awnings at the same time if you go to channel 0. So if I press stop there and I want to extend all of the awnings at the same time, I just press out. And we can turn our LED lights on, the awnings as well. The main patio awnings are the same. They come out and they'll stop when they're fully extended. And if I just want to put one of the awnings in, I can do that. If I just go to my channels, let's say I wanted to put this awning in a little ways, or there was something in the way and I couldn't run it out all the ways, I can just control this one, go in, and stop. And again, if I want to just run them in all together, just go to channel 0 and in. And they'll all go in at the same time. There is an adjustment for the amount that the awning extends or closes. At the center of the 2 main patio awnings and the end of the motor, there's an adjustment tool in your coach that's plastic. If you look straight up at the motor ends, you'll see a red and a white adjustment screw, and you can adjust there. In case of an emergency, we'll show you a special tool that you can use if you're on the roof. In the center where the awnings come together, you'll put the tool in. It's shaped like an Allen wrench, and you can turn that to manually retract the awnings. We're standing here at the entrance door, and we can lock and unlock the door 3 different ways. We can use the keys to manually unlock or lock the door. The deadbolt is the longer tri-mark key at the top. The door handle lock is the one on the bottom. Just insert, lock, that's deadbolt, or unlocked. So you can manually lock or unlock either the deadbolt or the door. You can use the key fob to lock or unlock, or you can use the door handle. To use the door handle, if the coach is locked, we just press 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1 to unlock. Now the door is unlocked. That's the code or the entrance authority code that Newmar gives you when you first purchase the coach. The small button on the left-hand side of the column is the one that you would depress to change that code. And we recommend that you change that code so only you are the one that knows what the entrance code is for your coach. If you press that code that comes with the coach when it's new, and instead of pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, and you press 2, that unlocks both the door and the baggage compartments. So just remember, when you get your coach new, you'll need to press the button that's on the side of the column. You'll come out here. This handle will be beeping, a series of beeping tones. You'll enter your new 5-digit number that you choose twice, and that resets the code to your own. We can manually lock and unlock the doors from the inside just by pushing this down, that locks the handle. Up is unlock, and the deadbolt is the one at the top. We don't want to have that deadbolt locked or in the lock position when we close the door because it'll shear off the pin. So just make sure that is unlocked when the door is open. When the door closes, it latches here. If I close the door, the steps will close automatically with the door. And if I close the door just softly, it's closed, but it's in the first latch. So I can close it softly and it's closed, but not for travel. If I want to close it into the second latch for travel, I close it more firmly. Now the door is flush with the trim. And that's the way you want it before you travel. If I want the steps to stay open as I'm going in and out of the coach, I hit the step override button. And now when I close the door, the steps will stay extended. The screen door has a pull-down screen at the top. Which we can latch here. And that's how we can close just the screen door and leave the main door open. You can go on the inside and just press that lever down, which pushes this to open. And it just latches to the main entrance door there. So as we move behind the front wheel, we have our fuel fill. This fuel fill fills the same tank on either side of the coach. Just twist to open. Clockwise to tighten. Docking light, marker light, and our first baggage compartment is our domestic refrigerator freezer. It is powered here with the 12 volt or 120 volt. So the refrigerator freezer can operate on 12 volt batteries. If you're not plugged in to shore power or your generator's not going, you can still have your food stay cold. Freezers over here, refrigerators over here. There is a QR code you can scan for more information on the freezer or refer to your owner's operator's manual. And here's the main control panel for temperature setting on either side. The refrigerator can be turned into a freezer or vice versa just by adjusting the temperature. So you can have both sides refrigerated or both sides as a freezer. There is a port here for USB. You can connect this Bluetooth to your iPad, your phone, and you can control it with your other devices. And our second baggage door is our Easy Glide slide out tray. The switch to open and close it's here. Just hold it down, it'll fully extend, and it automatically stops when it's extended. Then you can release the switch. In our third compartment door is our Easy Glide tray with tile and vac accessories. So we have our outside entertainment center. The purple key locks and unlocks it. We have our television and our Bose speaker. This is adjustable, so you can actually pull it out and point it in the direction you like just by pulling it like this and then turning it. The Bose speaker is Bluetooth compatible, so you can Bluetooth your phone or your smart device to that. Your TV, of course, can be adjusted to over-the-air by turning your Winegard antenna on. And if you want to watch cable out here, you want to leave that off. When you're finished, just push this back to store, and the magnet holds it in place. On the left-hand side, we have an additional 120-volt outlet with USB and USB-C charger. So in the next compartment back, we have another manual pull-out tray. Once you close it, it'll relock into position. We have our vacuum system here. We can attach the vacuum on the outside here and use it, all the accessories outside, just turning it on and off here. Just behind that, we have our sink cylinder, the sinking cylinder for the HWH full wall slide out. Beside that, we have our Excite Solution camera system. In the center here is your KMG controller. This is the slide out controller for the dual motors on your kitchen slide. And beside that is your slide out controller for the bedroom. There are two additional 120 volt outlets here. They're both GFCI protected. Yep. So in the next compartment back, we've got our lighting control boards here behind this panel. If we need to access this, we just loosen the screws. And then we can see the LEDs that are lit are for the functions that are turned on, whether they're for lighting or other appliances. These are your lighting control FET boards, FET boards, and this is your control board with relays. If you see a light on, that function is on. If the light is out, then there's no power going to that system. These are your relay boxes, and they're all labeled for what they control. To the left of that are your AC sents. The AC sents need to be plugged in. They tell the coach when your panels are powered up to operate your appliances. This is a TMSC 100 control board. This is the board that allows the communication between the network and your touch panels inside. These, of course, are labeled ONAN. This is your generator start and stop here. Blind spot detection, docking light, marker light. And in between the two wheels, we have our HWH jack. At the center of the coach, we have another camera for this side view. Security light. And our bathroom half bath window. At the top of the slide out here in the bedroom, we have a slide topper awning like we do on other locations that keeps debris and rain from falling on top of the slide out. Before you close your slide outs at the end of your camping, you want to make sure there's nothing underneath the fabric that would get in the way of that fabric when it rolls up. So check those openings on each end to make sure they're clear. The next small compartment is your DEF tank. Fill, just open, fill, put the cap back on. In our last compartment is our battery and battery disconnect. These are the chassis batteries. Now, these two batteries operate the HWH pump when we're running the slide room in or out. So Newmar recommends that you start your engine so that these batteries are receiving power before you run your slide rooms or other slide outs open or closed. If you're not going to be able to start the engine to do that, we recommend that you have your shore cord plugged in before you run your slides. If I'm going to store the coach, I want to have these batteries turned off or disconnected. This is the battery disconnect to turn those batteries off so they don't continue to slowly drain. If you remove these batteries and you're not sure how they're wired, there's a schematic here on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is a port that's used by the mechanic for diagnostics. There is another panel here with the chassis fuses in it. So if you have an issue with the chassis where light or turn signal issue is not working, this is the panel you would remove to check those fuses. Another blind spot detection. And as we move to the rear of the coach, we see we have marker lights at the top cap, third brake light and camera below that. This is our engine cover and release here. To release, just pull down, but make sure you have your hand here because it will want to come out towards you. And as we look at the right side, we have our Oasis ITR hydronic overflow, hot and cold level. We want to make sure we have Century boiler antifreeze in this. You can get that from Newmar. These are your dipsticks to check the transmission fluid and your engine oil levels. You can fill through here, but if you need engine oil, you'd want to fill through here. This is your engine coolant tank. This is your engine coolant tank. When it's full, you'll see that this glass is a kind of a reddish color. Make sure that you do have fluid in here before you start your engine. This is for your block heater. This has to be plugged in, and the block heater has to be turned on the inside panel for you to preheat your engine. This gauge tells you whether the air filter is clean or needs to be replaced. When your engine is running, this yellow line or diaphragm will move up and down. It needs to stay in the green area. If it moves up too high and goes into the red, that's telling you your air filter right here, this canister, needs to be replaced with a new air filter. The air is picked up going through this tube. It goes all the way up to the top corner of the cap. So those louvers need to remain free so air can get down that tube and in your engine when you're running. To close this, just reach up and pull down. At the bottom here, we have our Bargman plug and our Air Force One hookup, camera, and tow hitch. Moving over to the driver's side corner is another blind spot detection. We have our exit door, our dryer vent, that's our hot air exit vent. These louvers are for the engine radiator and transmission cooler. This is where the fan pulls air through, so those need to be open and clear for air movement. This is the DEF fill from this side. They both go to the same tank. We talked earlier in the video about when we park our coach, before we want to extend the slide out rooms, we want to check the gap between the edges of the room. We call this the reveal gap. This reveal gap needs to be pretty much equal on the ends and the top and the bottom. If we see that our reveal gap is too close or touching, we want to put the coach in a more level area before we level the coach or even extend the room. So always make sure that this gap is about the same, 3/8 of an inch, before you attempt extending or even retracting a room. If you see that it's touching, you're going to have to move to a more level area. This small door is for your sewer hose. This is where it's stored. Here's our docking light, marker light, and our blind spot detection for mid part of the coach. So in the next compartment forward is our water bay compartment. This is where we will attach our freshwater hose and or discharge the effluent from our tanks. As we enter this area, you'll notice on the right-hand side here, there's a hose that has already been used, and it's full of the winterizing solution. That's how it will look when it's been used or has winterizing solution in it. If we want to winterize again in the fall or winter for next year, we'll have to remove this cap, put it into the winterizing solution, turn our water pump on, and open these valves. That process is outlined right in the top center here, how to use your winterizing kit. And it goes through draining, removing the whole house cartridge filter, which is here, because you don't want to run antifreeze through it. How to close low point hot and cold valves, and just follow these instructions to winterize your coach. Moving over to the back wall here, this is your water pump. You'll hear this pump turn on when you turn your water pump on the screen there or inside. There is a small screen. If I turn this and rotate, you'll see a screen right here that can be removed. This screen is just a twist off screen. You can take that off if you're not getting any water inside. You can take that out and clean the screen and put that back on. Just beside that is a sensor for this area. This sensor, when it reaches about 37 degrees, will turn on the ITR Oasis heating core. The fans will come on and heat this to keep your water and tanks from freezing.
If the Oasis is turned.
Yeah. In order for this to turn on that heat, the ITR Oasis hydronic furnace needs to be turned on. If it's not, and you've only got the electric elements on, there might not be enough heat on really cold days to keep this compartment warm. To use the macerating device, this is the hose where the discharge comes out of the macerator when you're emptying your tanks. If you're not going to use the macerator, you can use your regular sewer hose and connect it here, but both of the hoses will go through the bottom of this access. Just put this through here and extend this to the sewer dump. And now I'm ready to empty my tanks. You would need to use the sewer hose and connect it here if you want to use the manual gate valve to open and dump the tanks manually here. So right now we have the hose for the macerator connected to our sewer, and we want to make sure to take this plug off, or the large one, and then put it into the sewer so it's open. Then we want to turn this gate valve on here open or pull it towards us. Once we open the line for the hose, then we can turn the RV SantaCon, which is the macerator, to the on position. And that starts the macerating device and helps grind the effluent that's coming out. Now, to get the effluent started to come out, you're either going to have to open up this black gate valve towards you here, or the gray tank. I would suggest doing the black tank first, opening it. Turn this on first, open this valve, the one in the back is already open. Effluent will run out, all of the black tank will be emptying. After the black tank is emptied, I would suggest that you would use the black tank rinse, hooking a water supply here. Once you've got your black tank rinsed, that effluent will be rinsing out this hose and this line, and your black tank will be cleaner. You can disconnect that, close this gate valve. Now you want to empty the gray. Come over to this side, open this, make sure that your RV SantaCon is still on. Once the gray tank is completely drained out, then we'd want to connect our water supply here and rinse our gray tank out. When we're finished rinsing our tanks, then we can turn our RV SantaCon off. Once we have that off and everything is drained out of the hose, we can go back here and push this towards the line or closed, and then we can remove this hose, put our caps back on, tighten them, and then bring our hose back inside. The same would go if we were using the manual gate valve here. We'd hook our hose on to the sewer and drain the black tank and the gray, but we would not need to turn the RV SantaCon on because it's not coming through the smaller hose, just going through the big hose and dumping out. Again, black tank first, gray tank second, and then you can rinse both tanks if you choose. There's a black tank rinse low point drain, so if we use these two to rinse our tanks, we can open these up and the line that supplies these water sources will drain that water out. That would be done if you were going to winterize. This is the screen that you have to view your tank levels. Either when you're filling it with water or emptying them, you can check the levels. Fresh, gray, black, and LP. You'll notice at the very bottom here there's a water pump on and off. There's autofill for your fresh tank and top off. You can turn those functions on if you want to have it autofill your tank or top off. Now, in order to autofill your tank or top off, you'll have to have your main water hose supply connected to a water source of not more than 60 psi. So we'll extend this, connect it to our water source. Now I can use that to fill my freshwater tank and or have city water available inside the coach. If I'm just filling the freshwater tank, this is the position that I want the dial to be. If I want to have city supply automatically coming in, I would move it here. And if I want to have auto tank fill and auto city, I would move it and point it towards the top one. Just to the left of that are the hot and cold waterline low point drains. You'll need to open these drains and drain all the water out before you winterize. After they're completely drained, you'd want to close them before you add the winterizing solution. When you're finished in this area and you want to rinse your hands or some hoses, we have this shower. You can remove the handle and then turn this on and rinse your hoses. Along with the tanks icon, you can go back to the home screen and there's a power or exterior. The power will start and stop your generator, and you can view the battery state of charge and voltage, both on the house batteries, which are lithium state of charge, and on the chassis batteries. Back to the home screen, we can also turn on our exterior security lights or passenger security lights and or start and stop the generator. When we're finished with the hose supply for water, there is a auto retract here, power retract. We can retract the hose. The light inside here automatically turns off when we close the door. So in front of the water bay compartment, we have our cord reel compartment. Starting here, you have a 30 amp connection that if you have a cord, an extra cord of your own, you can plug that in and plug it into your trailer. Below that is your power monitor. Power monitor is going to measure how much power you have coming out of your transfer switch. It's plugged into your transfer switch here. So it will display in this window both legs, leg 1 and 2, or any faults. You'll notice that there are 2 red LED lights on here. If those are flashing, that is also a fault indicator. You can refer to your surge guard owner's manual for more information on the faults for either one. The small white door is for your cable connection. Cable connections need to be plugged in here and your over-the-air TV turned off in order to receive cable channels. This surge guard protector protects against high voltage spikes and low voltage. So if you have a high or low voltage issue, the transfer switch will automatically shut off and cut power off to your coach, which protects you. If you have the generator running, power will be coming through the gray cord, and this switch transfers, because it's called a transfer switch, it transfers the power from the cord, and then it takes the power from the generator to go into your inside of the coach. Just behind the transfer switch is an ABS cover. That cover is Velcroed in place, and I'm going to remove it to show you your 12-volt fuses and relays. So we've removed the ABS cover, and we can see, starting at the top right, our solenoid, which is our charge bridge solenoid. Just beside that one to the left is a black battery disconnect solenoid, and to the left of that are all of the fuses. The row of fuses at the top are replaceable fuses. The second row down has fuses that are resettable. So if the resettable portion in the center of the fuse pops out, just push that in to reset. The locations of the fuses are all numbered, and those numbers correlate to the panel on the back side of the cover. So if you want to look at any device, you can see that F5 is for your entrance steps. So if for any reason your entrance steps weren't working, you could go to fuse F5, pull that fuse, check it, and replace it if necessary. So to retract our shore cord, we pull it out manually, but to retract it, here at the top of the door, we can push, and the motor, electric motor, will recoil it for us. Once it's completely recoiled, the end just is set here, and then we can close the door. In our next compartment forward, we have our ITR Oasis hydronic heat for our water and heating for the air inside. This system heats your hot water and it heats the air in your coach. It has to be turned on outside first, and then you would operate it from the inside panel. If this is turned off and there's no green light there, the inside panel will not make this furnace function for hot water and heat come on. So this needs to be pressed. This green power light needs to be on, and then you can have hot water and heat. When the burner is working, you'll notice there's a flame that you can see. If you look through this window, you'll be able to see the orange-yellow flame that's in the back there. This system can heat your hot water with the AC heat elements. So you can turn on the heating elements on your touch panel in addition to the burner turning on. So you can use either one. We recommend that you use the burner if you're in cold weather, because you'd want to have enough heat supply to keep the water bay compartment warm. The igniter, flame out, and voltage and low water lights that are in the bottom area, these four, if there's a failure, will turn red. So if you see a red LED light here, those would need to be checked or serviced. If any of these green lights are flashing green, those would need to be serviced. They need to be solid green. So again, if you see a flashing green light on any of these, those will need service. If you're operating your ITR Oasis and you have a failure of any one of the heating circuits, there's an additional panel located right here that's a silver box. So if the heating zones aren't working for your hot water, like taking a shower, or the heat in the front or rear of the coach aren't working, these lights may not be green, they might be red. If you see a red light here, you'll need to go into the inside of the box, and there's fuses on the left side and the right side of the box. So if you see a red light, go in, take the fuse out, check it. If it needs to be replaced, put the new fuse in that matches the same size. The light will turn green and that function will be working again. When you're finished, just clip the cover back on. The tabs here are self-locking. There is a reset switch here. In the event that the system isn't working, you can press the reset. If you press the reset and it's still not functioning, you'll have to get it serviced. We recommend changing or having it serviced once every 12 months for replacing the filter and checking the system. So yearly service is important. If you have a complete failure of the control panels inside, but this is on and it's not working, Newmar provides an additional monitor panel that's completely separate from the panels inside that you can plug into the cord here at the bottom, and you can operate this from the outside. So in case that ever happened, you have a backup control panel here. In our next compartment forward, we have the slide tray. In our next compartment, another slide tray. And this is our battery compartment with the inverters. The inverters are the Victron brand. The batteries are the Lithionics. The inverters are also chargers. And as we said earlier in the video, these both have a black switch on them, and they need to be turned to the up or on position here in order for the overhead touch panel to work. If these are just turned on to the charger only, which would be in the down position, they're only going to charge the batteries. They won't take any energy out and invert it to give you power in your kitchen for your appliances. So you always want to leave the inverters on, because if you lose power in your coach, the refrigerator will get power from the batteries, which are 12 volt, will go through the inverter, invert it into 120, and keep the refrigerator or other appliances in your kitchen on. One inverter is dedicated to one of the rooftop air conditioners, and the other inverter is for the other appliances in your coach. But they both will assist in charging the battery bank. The battery bank is from Lithionics, and the power in those two batteries comes through the BMS, and that small button in the overhead above the driver's seat, which had the blue LED around it, has to be lit up for the energy to come out of these batteries and go through this BMS. This is the BMS that controls what these batteries supply to the coach. Once these batteries fall below a 10% level of power in these cells, that white box, which is the BMS or battery management system, will turn off and disconnect this power out of your coach. So it will turn everything off, and you would need to then press that silver button until the blue LED ring came back on to use that last 10% in these batteries. If that happens and you have to press that button to make the blue LED come on, you need to start your generator or plug your coach in to make sure these recharge. Otherwise, they'll drop down and they'll both be empty, and you will need to get a special charger to charge them back up. If you look at the back wall, the control for the MPPT100 for these inverters is on the back wall. There's a fuse link. The connection for your solar is there. If you look on the left side of the wall here, there's a schematic which shows all the wiring. So if someone ever changed or disconnected these, the schematic on how to put everything back together is on the side wall. So moving forward in front of the battery compartment, we have our marker light, docking light, and our fuel fill here. This fills the same tank, even though it's on the driver's side, it fills the same diesel tank. And in our forward compartment on the driver's side, we have our fuses here for the cockpit area, and we have additional fuses for the coach and cockpit area behind these two covers. If any of these fuses would happen to blow and need to be replaced, we have those extra fuses here. How can you tell a fuse is blown? You can tell by the red LED light will be lit up right above that fuse. So if you see a red LED light that's lit, that means that fuse will need to be replaced. You'll need to pull it out and get one that's the same size and put it back. Each of these fuses is labeled and has a name on it. If you look on the side, this one is for the step covers. The one above it is for the keyless entry. So if one of the functions in the cockpit area aren't working, you can come out here and you can read the name that's beside the fuse and check it. It should be lit red if it is blown, but you can always find the name to match for the fuse on the inside cockpit. Behind these covers are additional fuses and relays that are supplied by the coach, which is Freightliner. And if you move these tabs out to the outside, you can take this cover off and you can read what all those fuses are here. Accessories, ignition, AC, instrument clusters. So if any one of those items aren't working, you can take the fuse out here, replace it. We have additional fuses, then put the cover back on. This is the ECM, and then we talked earlier about the HWH generator slide control that's here, extend and retract. The ignition has to be on for that to work. And you'll notice at the very top here is a silver 120 volt junction box for the living room floor heat. And we have the wipe wash wand here with the extendable handle.